From the Coliseum, Lexington, it's Kentucky and Auburn in this next to last game of the 1956-57 season. Auburn out, and here comes Kentucky. Starting lineups, as we reported, with Ed Beck moving into the pivot against Bill McGriff. Both boys stand 6'7". McGriff holds a 12-pound weight advantage. The captains signify their teams are ready to go, so we settle down to the ball game. Here's the tap to Calvert, just in backcourt. Flips over to Odie Smith, and the ball game is underway. Down the right side, it's to Krigler. Back to Smith. Calvert goes through. Cox comes out, gets the ball, passes right back to Krigler. Back out to Cox. Kentucky's play does not go the first time around. Over to Calvert to Krigler, the left corner. Here's the shot. It's short. Bounces in. Hit the front side of the rim, and Krigler starts the ball game with a field goal to put the Cats on top 2-0. Auburn, which incidentally runs exactly the same double pivot offense as Vanderbilt, goes to work. Out front with the ball is Sturkey, the captain. Bounce pass down the left side to Lee. Back over to Hart. Gets away from Krigler and hooks it in. Henry Hart hooking in a driving field goal from the left side of the basket. Ties it 2-2 with Cox moving down the left side for Kentucky. Passing out to Calvert. Over to Adrian Smith. Back to Calvert. He sets. Moves off to the right with Beck giving him a screen. And a 30-foot set. No good. Off the rim. Beck taps back to Calvert. Top of the circle. Over to Cox. Moves down the left. Goes for the basket. By a Hart. Misses the shot. Rebounding Auburn. Rex Edrick puts it in. High pass, almost gets away, but holding on, Sturkey. Passes under, wide open to lay it in, Rex Frederick. And Auburn with 2 quick field goals leads 4-2. Both of them crip shots. Krigler in front court, blows by them all and hooks it up and in. John Krigler retaliating with his second field goal, ties the game 4-4. Auburn going back to the attack now. McGriff brings it in front court, passing on the left side to Sturkey, who drives out to the free throw line. Lobs one back out to McGriff. Anybody plays the pivot for Auburn. Here's Frederick with a hook. No good. Beck rebounds. Passes up the way to Calvert. Back in front court for the Wildcats. Score tied 4-4. On the left side to Krigler from 15 feet. He missed it. Over the rim to Auburn. Pulling the rebound in, Henry Hart. H-A-R-T. Hart slowly moves it back in front court with the score still 4-4. 2 minutes have gone by as he gives it over to Jimmy Lee. Back down the right side, passed in under there. Sturkey jumps, Calvert blocked it out of bounds. Fine defensive play by Kentucky's Jerry Calvert. Out of bounds, sophomore Henry Hart to put it in play. Auburn starting 4 sophomores here tonight. To the left of their basket over the baseline. Hart passes in, wide open, missing the shot, however, is Auburn's Rex Frederick. And on the rebound, Beck throws it right up to Jimmy Lee of Auburn, who brings it back in front court. Passes on the left side to Sturkey, fakes Krigler from 10 feet, lays it in. Henry Hart with his second field goal makes it a 6-4 Auburn lead. Cox goes into the left corner for Kentucky. Passes back out to Beck. From 15 feet, he shoots to the right of the basket. No good. Here's a whistle under the basket. Krigler is called for pushing. It's Krigler's first personal foul. First foul of the ball game after 2 minutes and 39 seconds of play. Auburn has been getting dead crip shots on the Wildcats. 3 of them so far. Rex Frederick's on the Auburn line for 1 shot. He owns 1 of the 3 Tiger field goals. He's a 6'5" sophomore. Stands with the left foot pulled slightly back. A one-handed free throw's good. Auburn takes the longest lead of the ball game for either team. 3 points. Bonus shot to Frederick now. Auburn has a double safety posted. Frederick ready. Sights, pushes. No good, rolled out. Taken off by Calvert as it's 7-4 now. Attacks to the top of the circle, breaks, goes all the way and has his shot blocked, but taken by Cox. Jump shot no good. Tapped by Krigler twice, 3 times no good. Fight for the ball. Who's got it? It is out of bounds. Goes to Kentucky. Auburn 7, Kentucky 4. We've played 3 minutes here at the Coliseum. Calvert on the western side of the front court passes to Krigler. Back to Calvert. Moves out, and from 25 feet, he hit it. Jerry Calvert with his first field goal and an outside set shot cuts the Auburn lead to 1 point, 7-6. Auburn swings back to the attack now. Hart down the left side to Jimmy Lee. Pumps down into the left corner to Sturkey. Sturkey in the pivot to McGriff and back to Sturkey. Breaks out of there with a head fake. Beck picks up on him on the screen. Over to McGriff. Jump shot rolls off the rim to Johnny Cox of Kentucky. Rolls it out of there. 2-bounce dribble and up to Calvert moving in front court. High pass to Krigler. Under the basket. Hooks it up. No good. Rebounding Auburn's Rex Frederick. Fires up to Lee, moving down the left side of the front court. And a jump shot off the rim, no good. Fight for the ball. Auburn drawing the personal foul. Henry Sturkey pushing into Adrian Smith on the rebound attempt. And Smith is limping slightly as he moves down toward the Kentucky free throw line. Smith, incidentally, never taped his ankles for play until he turned an ankle the day before the Loyola game in practice. So Adrian Smith of Kentucky is on the line with one shot. Auburn leading 7-6. Smith shoots. It's good. Score 7-7. So Auburn's three-point lead is gone. Trying to snowbird was Henry Hart. Krigler picks him up as he goes free throw line deep in the backcourt. Bonus shot by Smith, good. Kentucky's on top 8-4 with a field goal and a pair of free throws after the Tigers had taken a three-pointed lead. Here's Sturkey up in front court with the ball. Passes it over to Frederick. Breaks in against Cox to the free throw line. Throws it right into the middle of two Wildcats and a Tiger, and it's a jump ball. Complaining about the situation is Henry Hart as all three of them hit the floor. Calvert moves out. Now Krigler moves in. Now Calvert moves out. Now Krigler moves in. And Calvert will jump as they finally get squared away. Auburn 2 inches height advantage. They get the tap. Outside, trying to fake but unable to get away from Smith is Hart. Down the left side to McGriff on the double pivot. Outside, open shot Frederick. No good from 15 feet. Tapped up. No good by Hart. Taken off by Krigler of Kentucky, who brings it right on out and up into front court. Down the right side. Pulls up passes to Smith. Over to Calvert. Fakes a set shot. Drives in. Gets his shot good. Driving and a foul on the play. It's against Calvert. The field goal will count for Calvert's second one. And his personal foul is number 1. So Kentucky leads 10-7. And Auburn has free throws coming. Henry Hart, who owns 2 of Auburn's 3 field goals, is on the line for 1 shot. Incidentally, we've had 3 fouls in the ball game, every one committed under the defensive basket. Here's Hart shooting good. Bonus shot coming to the 6'1" sophomore. 15 minutes, 43 seconds here in the first half. Auburn with a double safety. Hart shooting good on the bonus shot, and Kentucky's lead is cut back to 1 point, 10-9. Calvert in front court to Krigler on the right side. Back to Calvert. Out front to Odie Smith. Fakes a set shot. Lets back go to the pivot and then moves off to the left, passing to Cox. Here's the jump shot. Good. Johnny Cox with his first field goal is the 4th Wildcat to score, and Kentucky leads 12-9, their second three-point advantage. Auburn has had one. Up in the front court now, the Plainsmen attacking. Free throw line, Lee, a quick shot, good. Jimmy Lee with his first field goal cuts the Kentucky lead back to 1 point at 12-11. Adrian Smith back for the Wildcats in front court. Passes over to Calvert, goes through. Calvert down the right side to Krigler. In the corner to Smith. A one-bounce dribble and out front to Calvert. Calvert sets, breaks to the top of the circle, gives to Smith. He sets and shoots from 30 feet, no good. On the bounce, he saves it, but steps on the line. It's out of bounds to Auburn. Swinging back to the attack, Henry Hart. Back in front court for the Tigers. They trail by 1 point now. Angles off to his right. Krigler comes through the screen as he goes down the right side. Passes back out front to McGriff, to Jimmy Lee. In on the double pivot on the left side to Sturkey. Back to Hart. Fakes a shot and shoots. No good. Johnny Cox rebounds for Kentucky. Whips it out to Calvert. Watches his fast break develop and then pulls up at the free throw line. Fakes to Cox. Hands to him, and Cox drives in, loses the ball. Krigler picks it up and lays it in. 3 field goals for Krigler, half of Kentucky's production. And the Wildcats have their 3rd three-point lead. Auburn attacking now. Ball rolls over the back of the head of Rex Frederick, but he picks it up out deep. Moves down the right side against Johnny Cox. Calvert stabs, just misses. His man gets away, but he picks him up, though, as McGriff goes into the 3-second zone. Bounces out to Lee. Quick shot, no good. Beck hooks in the rebound. Whips out to Krigler on a 3-3 break with Calvert and Smith. Calvert hooks to Smith on the left. Down the baseline, missed the shot, but he's fouled on the play. Personal foul on Bill McGriff of Auburn, his first foul, and the second against each team. Odie Smith of Kentucky toes the line with 13 minutes, 52 seconds in the first half. Adrian Smith has 2 points on a pair of free throws. He's got 2 coming this time. Kentucky with a 3-point lead. Neither team has been able to go in front by more than 3 points. Here's Smith dropping in the first free throw, and the Cats have the longest lead of the game for either team. Smith in for his second shot. Lee and Calvert playing right up next to each other, off to the left. Smith hits the second shot. Kentucky 16, Auburn 11. Back in front court, pass on the left side to Hart. Back to Lee. Calvert fouled him as Lee broke for the basket. Second foul on Jerry Calvert. Jimmy Lee on the free throw line for one shot for Auburn. Auburn has hit 3 out of 4. Kentucky has hit 4 for 4 as the Wildcats hold a 5-point advantage with 13 minutes, 46 seconds in the first half. Neither team has taken a timeout yet. As Lee shoots, it's good. His third point. He owns one of Auburn's 4 field goals. The bonus shot coming to Lee. The Tigers post a midcourt double safety. Lee pulls the feet apart. Set shot. No good. Beck taps over on the side, and Calvert picks it up. Whips to Krigler in front court, and he collides. The foul's on Krigler for charging. His second personal, and the 4th against Kentucky. Henry Hart, who has already drawn one personal foul, this time lined Krigler up, and before he turned his head, Krigler ran over him. So Hart goes to the Auburn free throw line for one shot. 13 minutes and 42 seconds to play. Kentucky leading 16-12. Hart has not missed a free throw. He shoots good. Kentucky leads 6-4 on field goals, but Auburn cutting into the advantage on the free throw line. As the bonus shot drops in for Hart, it's a 16-14 ball game. Calvert in front court to Smith, down the left to Cox. Here's the jump shot. Good. Johnny Cox with his second field goal makes it 18-14 for the Wildcats. Back in front court, Frederick of Auburn, passing down the left side to Sturkey, the captain. He takes a one-bounce dribble, going deeper, then into McGriff, who faces Beck, breaks to the left, and Beck takes it away from him. Over to Calvert, almost let it get away from him, gives to Beck to renew the dribble, and then back to Calvert, who moves it in front court. Calvert crisscrosses, comes inside of Smith, and passes back to him to the left, over to Cox, back to Smith. Smith from 35 feet, set shot, no good. Beck taps, no good. Fight for the ball as it comes off the boards, on the floor, and a jump ball. Cox and Frederick will jump. Frederick at 6'5", will have 1-inch height advantage. 13 minutes and 2 seconds in this first half of play. Jumps in the Kentucky free throw line. Here's the tap. Nobody gets it, and we'll go again. Here's the tap again, and Cox taps to Beck. Back out to Calvert. 20-foot set shot. Good. 3 field goals for Jerry Calvert. Kentucky 20, Auburn 14, and that's the longest lead of the ball game for either team. Hart in front court, passing over to Sturkey, who breaks down the right side against Odie Smith. Hands to Hart, breaks out against Krigler, charges into him and misses the shot. Beck takes off the rebound, clears his man Calvert and bounces one over to him. Up the way to Smith, down the left to Cox, goes in, hook shot, good. 4 field goals for, that check us, 3 field goals for Johnny Cox, and the Cats are on top 22-14. First 8-point lead of the game. Here it is to McGriff, and a hook, good. Bill McGriff of Auburn matching the field goal of Cox with another hook shot, his first field goal of the game. 22-16, Kentucky as Calvert moves in front court. Down to Krigler, back to Calvert. Calvert back to Krigler, down the right corner to Odie Smith. Krigler goes through. Smith down the baseline, shoots, and his shot is blocked beautifully. Jump ball at the Kentucky free throw line with Bill McGriff, who at 6'7" will have 7 inches height advantage on Smith. 12 minutes as Thomas Coleman waits to get into the Auburn lineup. The tap goes to Auburn. Taking it in is Sturkey, who moves it up in front court against Calvert. Lets his offense get set. Passes over to Hart. Down the left side to McGriff. Wide open under the basket. Sturkey lays in his first field goal as Auburn again gets the crip. 22-16, Kentucky's lead. In front court, Calvert to Adrian Smith. Bad pass, gets out of bounds, goes to Auburn. Moving back in front court now, Jimmy Lee of Auburn passes on the left side. Sturkey drops it but holds on. Passes over to Hart at the top of the circle. 22-18 is the score. Driving in, Beck knocks it down away from Sturkey, but it's picked up by McGriff and back to Sturkey on the right side. Back out to Bill McGriff. Then he passes to Frederick. Got Adrian Smith on him. Juggles the ball at the free throw line. Pivots. Finds Hart wide open, who misses the incoming pass, and Beck picks it up, bouncing off the backboard. Up to Krigler to Calvert, moving in front court. Down the left to Cox. Here's the jump shot. No good. Beck taps. No good. Foul on the play against Beck, who charged in. First foul on Ed Beck. And apparently the horn here at the Coliseum is not working. One of the players starts out with his foot in the microphone cord. Timeout for Kentucky. It's the first time out of the ball game, and apparently the warning horn is not working as Auburn tried to get a substitution in and had a little trouble doing it. Thomas Coleman is in the lineup, a 22-year-old senior from Nanette, Alabama. Coleman 6'5", weighs 190 pounds. We played 9 minutes and 4 seconds with Kentucky leading 22-18. 10 minutes and 56 seconds yet to play. Well, it's been a nip and tuck ball game so far, with Krigler opening the ball game with a 5-foot shot after 20 seconds of play. Hart with a hook shot matched it, and Frederick with a crip shot put Auburn on top 4-2. But Krigler from 15 feet tied it up. Then Sturkey of Auburn hit a field goal, and Frederick hit a free throw, giving Auburn a 3-point lead. Then Calvert from 25 feet with a field goal, and Adrian Smith with 2 free throws put Kentucky on top 8-7, and Auburn has been unable to catch them since. So far, Kentucky's hitting 45% of its shots, 9 field goals on 20 shots. Auburn has hit 6 out of 11, or 6 out of 15 for a .429 shooting percentage here in the first 9 minutes of play. There is no change in the Kentucky lineup. Thomas Coleman is in the Auburn lineup, however. Don't forget to join us Saturday night over these same stations, 7:45 Central Standard Time. Kentucky and Tennessee, the final game of the season. Kentucky starting 5, parading back to the Auburn free throw line, where free throws come to the Tigers. Bill McGriff has come out of the Auburn lineup, which means with McGriff out, Auburn has sacrificed 2 inches height advantage. Rex Frederick is on the Auburn free throw line for 1 shot. He's hit 1 and missed 1 previously. Here's the free throw good. Kentucky has an advantage of 9-6 on field goals, but only a 3-point lead, as Auburn has been hitting well at the free throw line, missing just 2 so far. Bonus shot for Frederick good, and the score is 22-20. Auburn moving now within 2 after being down by 8 points. Here's Krigler in the left corner, passing back to Smith, out to Calvert. He moves to the right, passes to Cox, a 1-bounce dribble, passes out to Smith, moves down the left side, passes to Krigler in the corner, out front to Calvert. He sets from 25 feet and hits. That's 4 field goals for Jerry Calvert. Kentucky leads 24-20. Auburn's Henry Hart moving back in front court now against John Krigler. Jimmy Lee moves in, coming out. Frederick gets the pass down the right to Lee. Quick jump shot over Calvert, short. Rebounding, Adrian Smith of Kentucky has it knocked down by Hart, but picks up and whips to Calvert at the dividing line. Moving in front court to the top of the circle. Passes over to Smith, deep to the right, passing the pivot to Beck. Turns, passes to Krigler on the baseline. Breaks down, lays it up. Shot no good, but a foul called against Auburn. Rex Frederick drawing his first personal foul. Third one against Auburn as John Krigler goes to the Kentucky free throw line. Krigler has 3 field goals. Johnny Cox 3. Jerry Calvert 4. As Kentucky has 10 field goals. Krigler shooting 2. First one good. Kentucky has a 5-point lead with 10 minutes, 10 seconds to play. We're in the first half here at the Coliseum in Lexington. Krigler with his second shot good. Makes it Kentucky 26, Auburn 20. Kentucky had an 8-point lead, the biggest lead of the game for either team. Here's Frederick in front court for Auburn, passing down the right to Jimmy Lee. Spins out into the 3-second zone. Looks for somebody open. Got 1 foot in there, too long, and it's out of bounds to Kentucky. Lee pulled up with his pivot foot and in the 3-second zone and couldn't get it out. Smith passes to Calvert as we swing back to the attack with Kentucky. Down the right to Krigler, back to Calvert. Smith goes through. Calvert hits back on the pivot, fakes a handoff, turns, jump shot way short. Cox rebounds and drops it out of bounds to Auburn. Jimmy Lee moving it up the backcourt, giving to Sturkey now, moves past the 10-second line. Sturkey coming to the right, but staying deep. Lee comes out, and then he passes to the right side to Hart. Krigler knocks it down. Calvert picks it up, and Hart fouled him, trying to get Checkis on it. Another foul on Calvert. Third foul on Jerry Calvert, who raced in ahead of Hart to get the ball up. And the collision with the foul on Calvert. He's committed 3 of Kentucky's 6, and he's coming out of there as Vernon Hatton heads to the scorer's table. Shooting, Henry Hart of Auburn drops it in, his 5th straight, and the scoreboard horn is working now. Hatton comes in to replace Calvert. Vernon Hatton, a 20-year-old junior from Lafayette here in Lexington, 6'3", weighs 188, had 25 points against Auburn last year as a sophomore, as Hart, number 25, drops in his 6th straight free throw for the Tigers to make it a 26-22 ball game. Now here's Frederick of Auburn knocking it away from Krigler. Goes out of bounds to Kentucky with Vernon Hatton poised to put it in play. Hatton with 231 points is averaging 13.5 points a game. Here's Odie Smith, left open from 30 feet, shoots and he misses. Tap by Beck, no good, rebounded by Cox, who comes out with a hook. No good. Fight for the ball, Auburn's Rex Fredericks got it. Whips one up, and Auburn's got a 3-1 break going. Wide open, Hart lays it in. 3 field goals for Hart, and Kentucky's lead is back to 2 points, 26-24. Smith in front court, gives over to Vernon Hatton. Down the left to Cox, back to Hatton, moving down the left side. Whipped out to Krigler at the free throw line. Screen and a jump shot, good. That's 4 field goals for Johnny Krigler. Kentucky leads 28-24. Back in front court now, Sturkey of Auburn crisscrosses. Cox goes in on him and he pulls up, passes down the left side to Lee, who breaks in against Hatton to the baseline. Turns out can't shoot. Coming out of the pivot is Coleman to handle the ball for the first time. Out to Frederick, into Hart on the double pivot. Turns, passes over. Lee gets the shot. Good from the top rim of the circle. Second field goal for Lee, and it's 28-26. Kentucky with a 2-point lead. And if you didn't know it, you would think this was Vanderbilt. So well has Auburn copied that Commodore offense. Hatton in front court, down the left to Cox. Cox takes the jump shot. It's good. Jerry Calvert, Johnny Cox, John Krigler all have 4 field goals apiece. 12 field goals for Kentucky, equally divided among Calvert, Cox, and Krigler. All names begin with a C as Auburn takes timeout number 1. 7 minutes and 45 seconds to play. Kentucky 30, Auburn 26. How about that for an unusual thing? 3 players for Kentucky whose name begins with C. Calvert, Cox, and Krigler each have 4 field goals. Adrian Smith has 4 free throws, as only 4 Wildcats have been in the scoring column, and Bill McGriff checks back in for the Tigers. We'd like to remind you again that Kentucky plays Tennessee here Saturday night in the final game of this 1956-57 season. Broadcast time, 7:45 over these same stations. Auburn's scoring has been done in the main by Henry Hart, who has 12 points, 3 field goals, and 6 free throws. Jimmy Lee has 5 points, Henry Sturkey has 2, Rex Frederick has 5, and Bill McGriff 2. Kentucky's leading scorer is John Krigler with 10 points. Kentucky is hitting .444 from the field. Another 7 minutes and 45 seconds in this first half. In Montgomery last year, Kentucky led 3 points, 43-40 at halftime. Out of bounds, Jimmy Lee to put it in play for Auburn. They've got 3 sophomores in the starting lineup, one of the fine teams in the South. Lee to Sturkey as we go back to play. Sturkey down the right to McGriff, who takes a high double pivot with Frederick, then passes deep to Sturkey. Sturkey dribbles to the right side, then passes out to Frederick. On the left side to Hart. Sturkey goes through, drops the ball off his knee, and throws it out of bounds. Beck quickly into Adrian Smith, and front court to Krigler on the right side. Passes out to Johnny Cox going to the right side, to the corner, down the baseline. Here's a whistle. Foul on Auburn's Henry Hart, his first one across the arm on Johnny Cox. 4 fouls on Auburn. Johnny Cox on the Kentucky free throw line for the first time in the game. As off the Auburn bench comes Ty Samples. Cox shooting 1, hits. Bonus shot to Cox as Samples, S-A-M-P-L-E-S, replaces Captain Henry Sturkey of Auburn. Samples, a 19-year-old sophomore from Huntsville, 6'3", weighs 180. And Auburn right now has 4 sophomores in the starting lineup with 1 junior. Johnny Cox in for a bonus shot now, flips it up. No good, rolled out. First one in 8 shots Kentucky has missed. They lead 31-26. Here's Lee in front court to the top rim of the circle. Passes out to McGriff on the right side. Back out to Rex Frederick. Over to Jimmy Lee. Down the left to Samples. Out to McGriff at the top rim of the circle. Moves to the left. Passing to Lee. Lee brings it back out deeper against Vernon Hatton as we move into the last 7 minutes of the first half. Frederick gets it on the left side. Whips a high one to McGriff. Off the shoulder of Johnny Cox, out of bounds. Throw a blind pass to Frederick that hit Cox from the rear. He didn't see it, but it had already spun out of bounds. Kentucky 31, Auburn 26. Cats have had 1 lead of 8 points. Right now up by 5 as Hart bounces on the right side of the double pivot, the weak side, gets it back, and a one-handed shot's in and out. Rebounding, Adrian Smith of Kentucky. Rolls out of there quickly, passes to Cox, moving down the left side, gets a 10-foot jump shot, good. Johnny Cox with 5 field goals and 11 points puts Kentucky on top 33-26. Now Frederick of Auburn back past the dividing line. Down the right side. Smith knocks it down. Moving in. Hart picks it up against Krigler at the baseline. Gives in wide open to lay it in driving. Rex Frederick, who got away from Johnny Cox for his second field goal. It's 33-28 now. Vernon Hatton moving in front court. Calls to Beck to move out and Krigler to move over. Takes it down the right side with Samples on him at the baseline. He goes under the basket. Can't shoot. Can't pass. Jumps back in and lays it in. Beautiful individual play by Vernon Hatton for his first field goal, and the Cats again lead by 7. 35-28. Jimmy Lee in front court. Hatton looked like he had the old spark on that one as he cleared the way for his own individual play. Down the left side to McGriff. A hook. Good. Beautiful hook without the aid of the backboard for the second field goal by McGriff. Kentucky leading 35-30 as Adrian Smith moves in front court for the Wildcats. Cox moves out. Smith moves down the left side to the baseline and dribbles it out of bounds off his knee. Goes over to Auburn. Henry Hart moving slowly up the back court with Joe Leaves, the Auburn coach, yelling, "Take your time," from the bench. Down the right side to McGriff, who faces Beck, moves out, gets his screen, then pumps back on the back block, and it worked beautifully. Ty Samples gets his field goal, the first one, and it's 35-32 as Auburn worked the back block then to perfection. Tulane did that to Kentucky when they upset him in New Orleans. Here's Hatton, hits Beck, 15-foot hook, good. Ed Beck with his first field goal of the night makes it 37-32 for Kentucky. Henry Hart moving back for Auburn past the 10-second stripe. Passes over to Frederick. Down the right to Samples, who breaks in against Odie Smith to the baseline. Pulls up, gives to McGriff from 15 feet. He hit it. Bill McGriff with his third field goal makes it a 37-34 ball game. Hatton of Kentucky in front court gives a high one to Beck. Back to Hatton. He can't handle it. Picks it up and is fouled as he jumps to shoot. Frederick gets a technical called on him for yelling at the official for calling the foul. It's the second foul on Frederick, and he also gets a technical foul. So Kentucky will have Vernon Hatton will have 2 free throws, fouled in the act of shooting, and then the technical foul will let whoever the Wildcats designate shoot a free throw, and then Kentucky will get possession. So here's Hatton up now, shooting his first one, no good. Hatton on the line for his second shot now. Kentucky with a 3-point lead. They keep possession. Hatton shoots good. And now let's see who shoots the technical. Vernon Hatton will shoot it. This is the technical free throw. Kentucky keeps possession after the shot. Hatton poised, shoots good. So Hatton gets 2 out of 3 free throws, and Kentucky leads 39-34 and maintains possession at midcourt. Out of bounds, Vernon Hatton lobs one to Beck in the pivot, breaks by, gets the pass on a collision. Hatton's charging. First foul on Vernon Hatton. Auburn closed up the pivot after Hatton had already made his commitment to go down through there. So 4 minutes, 22 seconds to go. And in a period of about 3 seconds here, we could have had 5 free throws. Sample shooting 1 and 1. Samples on the line, shoots good, and a bonus shot to Samples. In a period of 6 seconds, we've had 5 free throws. There's the 5th one going in. 4 of the 5 have been good. So that means the free throws offset each other, and Kentucky's leads back to 3 points. 39-36. Smith the back in the pivot. Turns at the free throw line, gives to Hatton from 5 feet. He got it. That's 2 field goals for Vernon Hatton, and Kentucky leads 41-36. Sturkey comes off the Auburn bench as it's passed down the right to McGriff from Jimmy Lee. Mows out, facing the basket, passes to Frederick, top of the circle, in under there to Samples, wide open. He lays it in over his head. 2 field goals for Ty Samples. Kentucky's lead back to 3 points, 41-38. Into the last 4 minutes, Hatton lobs to Beck in the pivot, threatens to go by, gets it back from 25 feet. He misses. Rebounding, Frederick of Auburn breaks out against Krigler, throws one that Lee juggles, holds on, and lays it down and moves it back in front court for the Tigers. Lee over to Frederick, down the left to Hart, moves out to the free throw line, gives off to Samples, lays it off with Frederick, breaks out against Cox, shoots, good. Frederick with his 3rd field goal, and Auburn is within 1 point at 41-40. Kentucky's guards, Hatton and Smith, slowly move it up the back floor now. Down the right to Krigler. It's knocked away by Frederick and out of bounds to Kentucky. Wildcats put it in play on the right side of the offensive court. Quick pass from Hatton to Beck. Back to Hatton. Passes out front to Smith. Moves into the keyhole at the free throw line. Gives to Krigler to the left. Breaks for the basket. Shoots it up. No good. A whistle at the baseline. Foul on Auburn's Henry Hart, his second one. And into the Auburn lineup is the captain, Henry Sturkey. Coming out is Ty Samples. 2 minutes, 57 seconds to play as Krigler goes up to the Kentucky free throw line for 2 shots. Krigler has 10 points. Timeout Auburn. Their second timeout of the game, trailing by 1 point at 41-40. And let's us take 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Standard Oil Sports Network.
WVLK, Lexington, Kentucky. In 5 seconds, 8:30.
Once again, this is Claude Sullivan speaking from the Coliseum in Lexington. Here's your individual scoring right now. For Kentucky, Johnny Cox has 11 points. Jerry Calvert, 8. Ed Beck, 2. John Krigler, 10. Adrian Smith, 4. Vernon Hatton, 6. All of the Wildcats who have been in the game have scored at least 2 points. For Auburn, Jimmy Lee has 5 points. Henry Sturkey, 2. Ty Samples, 6. Henry Hart has 12. Rex Frederick has 9, and Bill McGriff has 6. Auburn's Thomas Coleman, a reserve, was in shortly but did not score. Kentucky shooting right now .472 as they near the 50% mark. Auburn has hit 13 of 25, and they're hitting 52% of their shots right now. Krigler stands at the Kentucky free throw line as we go back to play with 2 shots coming. Kentucky has committed 7 personal fouls. Krigler misses the first free throw. That's his first miss of the night. Auburn has committed 6 personals and a technical. Krigler's second shot, good. And Kentucky takes a 2-point advantage, 42-40. Back quickly is Sturkey in front court for Auburn. Down the left side to Hart. Over on the side, the shot is missed as it's pushed up by Jimmy Lee and taken off by Ed Beck. Up to Hatton to Adrian Smith, in front court to Krigler in the right corner. Jump shot, bounces off the rim twice, and it 4 times came out. Ball hit on the rim 4 times before it finally dropped out. Now Auburn gets it. Hart passes to Frederick, breaking wide open for the basket for his 4th field goal. Auburn has had a hat full of dead crip shots, and they've got it tied up now 42-all. Adrian Smith in front court over to Hatton. Hatton sets from 35 feet and fires it up. No good. Slapped up by Beck and out of bounds by Cox, with Hart slapping it out last. Goes to Kentucky to the left of the basket over the baseline. Ed Beck out of bounds to call his play. Scored deadlock. Pass in the left corner to Hatton. Out front it goes to Smith. Whistle at the baseline. Krigler is called for pushing. No, wait, it's 25 instead of 45. And Henry Hart, who committed the foul, wants to complain about his third one. Johnny Cox is on the Kentucky free throw line. Cox has hit 1 and missed 1. Off the Auburn bench comes Terry Chandler, who hasn't been in the game. Cox shoots good. Cox has 12 points to equal the 12 by Henry Hart, who committed this personal foul. Out of the Auburn lineup is Hart with those 3 personals. Jerry Calvert's out of the Kentucky lineup with 3. Chandler, 6'3", weighs 185, 20-year-old junior from Cullman, Alabama. Bonus shot by Johnny Cox. Tapped in by Ed Beck. The officials do not signal that it's a field goal, and the scorer's table wants a ruling on it. Now the officials stop the game, and let's see what's happened. The official who was on the baseline points it out. The official says it will be a free throw for Johnny Cox, saying that it was on the rim, as Ed Beck yells it was coming out. But it's nonetheless 1 point, and Kentucky's lead is 44-42 as Cox gets the pair of free throws. Here's Sturkey in front court for Auburn. Passes into McGriff. A hook's good. Beautiful play by Bill McGriff for his 4th field goal, and Auburn ties it again at 44-all. Adrian Smith in front court with 1 minute 40 seconds to play. Into Beck at the free throw line. Back to Cox from 25 feet. He shoots way short. Down on the floor, fight for the ball. Krigler's in to tie up. 1 minute and 33 seconds in this first half of play. One of the officials calling for a towel off the Kentucky bench to dry up a wet spot just in under the Kentucky basket. Auburn 44, Kentucky 44. Kentucky's had one 8-point lead in this game, but Auburn has battled back to tie it up. Here's McGriff and Krigler jumping. The tap is deep to Adrian Smith on the bounce. Down the right to Johnny Cox. Cox takes a 25-foot jump shot, no good. Off the rim, Krigler gets it. Hands to Hatton. Out front to Smith. Smith sets from 30 feet, and he got it. Adrian Smith gets his first field goal of the ball game on an outside set shot. Kentucky moves back in front by 2 points, 46-44. Up in front court now, Chandler passes to Frederick on the pivot. Moves it on out of there as he's told to from the bench. Over to McGriff. Out deep to Sturkey. Back to Frederick. A lot of yelling on the Auburn bench. A lot of excitement here. Over to Sturkey. Auburn playing it very slowly. They're hitting better than 50% of their shots. Here's Frederick taking it down the right side. Then passing out deep to Chandler. Handing off to Jimmy Lee. Hatton loosens up on him as he stands within about 6 inches of the dividing line with 40 seconds in this first half. Kentucky holding a 2-point lead. Now Frederick comes out to join him, and Chandler goes into a deep weak side pivot. Lee breaks for the basket. Frederick takes it over to the left and hands to Sturkey, screening for him. He breaks to the left, and Smith is run over by Frederick, who breaks into the back. Beck picks up to help out in the situation. Here's Walking against Sturkey with 17 seconds to go. Hatton to Smith, back to Hatton, over to Smith, moving in front court, 12 seconds to go. Back out to Johnny Cox. 9, 8, in the pivot to Beck, back to Cox from 30 feet. The jump shot's short. Off the rim with it is Auburn. 3 seconds to go. They got a 3-1 break against Smith, and the shot's good. It is a field goal. The scorer will make the decision. The goal is good. The timer made the decision that it counts. It's Jimmy Lee that gets his third field goal, and it is a 46-46 ball game here at halftime. Auburn had a 3-on-1 fast break with 3 seconds to go in back court, and they made it that distance. About 50 or 55 feet they covered in 3 seconds. And it's a 46-46 ball game, as neither official would make the decision. They ran hurriedly to the timer and says, does it count? So that's it at halftime. She's all tied up. Court with a score deadlock, 46-all. Hatton gives to Krigler on the right side. Fakes, breaks out, gives to Calvert. 30-footer, no good. Off the rim to Calvert. Goes under the basket, flips out to Krigler behind his back, who picks it up near the dividing line. Passes over to Hatton as Kentucky sets it up. No shot that time. Here it is to Beck. Spins by, knocked down. Walking by Ed Beck gives it to Auburn. Passed up to Jimmy Lee right at the dividing line. Calvert made a run at him, and he stopped. Now steps over to let his offense get set. Kentucky's picking up a little more aggressively at the dividing line now. Here's Sturkey bouncing one that Cox cuts off and takes away from Rex Frederick. Over to Calvert, up to Krigler. Down to Hatton on the right side at the baseline. Jump shot from 10 feet, bounces off. Beck taps, Krigler taps, Cox taps, it's good. Johnny Cox with his 6th field goal puts Kentucky on top, 48-46. Jimmy Lee lets the offense roll by and then moves up in front court. Calvert meets him at the dividing line as he angles to the left. Bounce pass to Hart. He drives out of there, feeds one in. Drop picked up by Lee, shoots, good. Jimmy Lee with his 4th field goal ties the game at 48-all, the 7th time the game has been tied up. Here's Cox driving for the basket, drops the ball, and it's picked up by Frederick of Auburn, who comes rolling out of there all the way down the left side and then turns. Whips one right under the basket, wide open to lay it in. It's Jimmy Lee with his 5th field goal and 2nd in a row as Auburn goes on top for the first time in the second half. Hatton fakes an outside shot, then takes one from 20 feet that's short, and Auburn rebounds. Sturkey kicks off a 2-2 break against Calvert and Hatton. Pulls up at the top of the circle with Auburn on top, 50-48. Hart gets it, keeping it deep, giving over to Sturkey. Down the right to Lee. Quick jump shot over Calvert. No good. Knocked down, it's out of bounds. Into the Kentucky bench. Goes to Auburn. Auburn leading Kentucky by 2 points after 2 minutes of the second half. Henry Hart out of bounds to put it in play. Calls his out of bounds play. Can't find anybody to throw it to, and then lobs into Bill McGriff in the left corner. Out front pass comes to Sturkey. Over the right to Lee. The double pivot is weak to the right. Lee drives off the weak side. Passes over to Sturkey. Sturkey moves down the right side, hesitates and goes, and Cox stops him at the baseline. Passes back outside to Lee, tom-tomming the ball with Calvert playing him loosely. Over to McGriff, down the left to Hart, breaks out to the free throw line. Gives off. Lee starts to break, drops the ball, picks it up. Flips down the right to Frederick. Frederick breaks in. Calvert knocks it down. Cox slaps it up in the air, but it's picked up by Frederick, who shoots and misses, and Krigler rebounds for Kentucky. Up the way to Jerry Calvert, in front court to Cox on the left side. Left open, his jump shot's no good. Tapped up, no good by Hatton. Taking it off is Auburn's Jimmy Lee. 3-on-2 break against Beck and Calvert with Lee to the left, pulled up, turns his back to Beck and passes out to Sturkey. From 30 feet, he shoots. Good. Sturkey, with his second field goal, has put Auburn on top 52-48 after 3 minutes. Calvert back in front court now. Gives over to Hatton. Moves to the left. Threatens to pass to Cox. But Hart's in too good a position. Over to Calvert from 30 feet. He shoots and misses. And Kentucky has quit running and started the outside shooting. Now Sturkey gets wide open and lays it in on Calvert. And timeout Kentucky. Sturkey has just come up with his third field goal of the game. And Auburn's leading 54-48. And the Wildcats take their second timeout. Well, Kentucky is in critical condition here in this second half. Johnny Cox started it with an outside field goal as Kentucky took a 48-46 lead. But since then, Auburn has rattled off 8 points on 4 field goals. Lee has 2 and Sturkey has 2. And Auburn leads 54-48. Auburn's longest lead of the ball game. Here's another Southeastern Conference game finished tonight as Georgia Tech closes the season with a 7-point win over Florida. Georgia Tech 64, Florida 57. Maryland has defeated Clemson by 9 points tonight. Maryland 74, Clemson 65. West Virginia in a romp over William and Mary. West Virginia 80, William and Mary 57. Those are the late scores that have been reported so far. In the Big Ten tonight, Michigan beat Indiana 87-86, and Illinois beat Ohio State 79-72. Auburn right now is hitting .583. 21 of 36 shots have gone in for them. Kentucky taking over in backcourt as we go back to play. No change in the Kentucky lineup as they trail for the first time by 6 points. Hatton in front court watches Calvert break through. Lobs a pass to Beck, hands to Krigler from 20 feet. He shoots. Good. John Krigler with his 5th field goal makes it 54-50, and Kentucky is picking up in backcourt. McGriff's got it. Now over to Sturkey. Hatton playing him loosely. He moves on up in front court over to Frederick. Frederick is the outside man this time, taking Cox deep. Turns, faces the pivot, passes into Hart, breaks for the basket, and shoots good. Hart, with his 4th field goal of the game, puts Auburn back on top by 6 points. Hatton quickly in front court, feeds back in the pivot, drops it on his knee, and here's a whistle. Foul by Auburn's Jimmy Lee, his first one of the game, and Ed Beck goes to the line for 1 shot. This is Beck's first appearance at the free throw line, with Auburn leading 56-50. Almost 4 minutes have rolled off the clock here in the second half. Beck has 1 field goal, shoots, and the shot good. Hit the back of the rim, went high in the air, then dropped into the center of the nets. Bonus shot for Beck as Kentucky trails by 5 points. Twice they have been down by 6 now. Kentucky's longest lead has been 8 points in the first half. Beck's bonus shot is good. Auburn's lead is trimmed to 4 points at 56-52. Only Cox is picking up in backcourt, and Hart, unopposed, moves past the dividing line. Net by Krigler. He gives off. Frederick gets it on a switch, gets away, then flips over to McGriff, and here's a foul call. It's against Auburn. Charging foul by Frederick down the middle for his 3rd personal foul. 15 minutes, 51 seconds to play. Moving up to the Kentucky free throw line is Jerry Calvert for the first time in the game. He's shooting 1. Chance to cut into Auburn's 4-point advantage. Each team has taken 2 times out. Here's Calvert with his free throw. Good. Now a bonus shot for Calvert. Chance to get his 10th point and cut the Auburn lead down to 2. Twice it's been 6 points in the second half. Calvert sights and shoots. Good. Auburn 56, Kentucky 54. Tigers take possession with Henry Hart moving back in front court. Down the right side to Sturkey. Into Lee, wide open from 5 feet. He misses. Calvert taps it, and it's knocked away out of bounds to Auburn. Putting it in play will be Henry Hart to the left of the basket and over the baseline. Hart fires. A foul on Ed Beck, who slapped and hit Frederick from the rear. And the foul on Ed Beck is his second one of the game. Into the Auburn lineup is Ty Samples replacing Sturkey. Samples came in the first half as a reserve and picked up 6 points. The Auburn free throw line now is Frederick, who's hit 3 out of 4. He's shooting 1. Frederick owns 11 points. Shoots. Good. And Auburn's in front by 3. Frederick on the line now for the bonus shot. 15 and a half minutes to go. It's good. Auburn 58, Kentucky 54. Calvert back in front court, passing to Hatton. Down the left side to Cox. Breaks into the left corner. Pivots and passes out to Hatton. In the pivot to Beck at the free throw line. Fakes to Hatton. Breaks for the basket. Lays it up. Good. Second field goal by Ed Beck. And Auburn's lead is trimmed back to 2 points as Sturkey waits to get back in for the Tigers. 58-56, Auburn leading. Lee in front court over to McGriff. Down the right to Frederick. A whistle at the baseline. Pushing foul offensively against Auburn. Ty Samples draws his first one of the game. Sturkey now checks back into the Auburn lineup. Jimmy Lee is coming out. Vernon Hatton is on the Kentucky free throw line where he's hit 2 out of 3. 15 minutes and 6 seconds to play. Auburn has had 2 6-point leads in this half after a 46-all deadlock at halftime. Here's Hatton sighting. Free throw. Good. With the bonus shot now, Hatton can tie the game. It stands 58-57 against Kentucky. Hatton cocks the right foot back. Auburn Samples, runs, and backs away, and Hatton shoots. The shot's no good. Taken off by McGriff, taken away by Cox, but it's a jump as he didn't get it away quite quickly enough. McGriff at 6'7" will have 3 inches height advantage against Cox at the Kentucky free throw line, with Auburn holding a 1-point lead. The tap goes, and taken by Sturkey of Auburn. So the Plainsmen have possession back and still lead. Pass on the right side to McGriff. A 1-bounce dribble and back out front to Sturkey. Down the right side to McGriff again, who brings it out. Takes a 20-foot jump shot that's no good. Rims off, and Hart pumps it in on the rebound. Hart with his 5th field goal makes it 60-57 for Auburn. They move back in front by 3. Hatton to Calvert in front court. Takes it to the left. Passes to Krigler on the right. Back to Calvert. Cox on the left gets it in the pivot. Spins by Hart. Picks it up at the baseline. Hook shot. No good over the rim. Auburn's got it. Hart takes it in. A foul on Vernon Hatton as he jumped for the ball and hit Hart across the back. It's the 2nd foul on Vernon Hatton. 14 minutes and 26 seconds to play before the free throw. Let's take time out for station identification. This is the Standard Oil Sports Network.
WVLK, Lexington, Kentucky. 3 minutes past 9 o'clock.
Ty Samples has come out of the Auburn lineup, and Jimmy Lee reports back to his position as Henry Hart of Auburn on the free throw line. He has not missed. Shoots good. His 7th straight free throw. Kentucky within 1 point at 58-57 has watched 3 straight points go through the nets. 14 minutes and 26 seconds to play. The bonus shot by Hart's good, and Auburn leads 62-57 as the Cats fall off the pace for 5 points. Krigler into the left corner with it. Watches Hatton go through and then passes to Calvert on the side over to Beck. He fakes, moves into the free throw line, passes out to Calvert. Calvert calls Krigler out, waves Cox out to clear the middle. Gets Beck to the left, breaks down the left side, pulls the defense with him, bounces one out to Beck, over to Hatton from the free throw line. He missed it. Beck taps it up, no good. Cox taps, no good. Out of bounds. Opposite Hart and Frederick, who both knocked it out into the Auburn bench. Into the last 14 minutes of the ball game now, with Auburn holding a 62-57 lead. Pass to Hatton, turns his back to the basket, falls away with a shot that's no good, and Sturkey rebounds for Auburn. 3 men go. Krigler takes it away and lays it in. John Krigler with his 6th field goal cuts the Auburn lead to 3 points, 62-59. Some of the Auburn players jumped up off the bench then as Krigler stole the ball. Now Hart of Auburn on the left side, staying deep with it, passing to McGriff. McGriff breaks out, pulls up, tried to work the back block, and it didn't go. McGriff breaks down to the left. He's got Calvert on him. 8 inches height advantage. Passes out to Lee with Beck on him. Backs away to the top rim of the circle. Passes to McGriff. Back on the left side to Refs. He throws it up. No good. Calvert rebounds. Trips off a fast break. Moving down the middle. Cuts down the right side. Whips out to Cox. Cox moves into the corner. Flips back to Calvert. Calvert watches Krigler under the basket. Then takes it back out front. Over to Hatton on the left side. He sets from 25 feet and hits. That's 3 field goals for Hatton. And again, Kentucky moves within 1 point and timeout Auburn. Well, we have seen a steal by John Krigler and a set shot from the outside by Vernon Hatton move Kentucky within 1 point. 62-61, Auburn leads as they take timeout number 3 of the ball game. Here's the latest score to report. Presbyterian has defeated Furman tonight. Presbyterian 92, Furman 69. In this second half of play, Auburn leads Kentucky by 1 point. And the field goals at the moment are 6-5 in favor of Auburn, giving them an overall advantage of 1 field goal. 11,000 watching the game tonight with another 12 minutes and 51 seconds to play. Kentucky closes out the season Saturday night against Tennessee. Broadcast time 7:45 over these same stations. Now ready to go back to play. Auburn in possession in the backcourt. Auburn right now hitting .575. Hitting well above 50% here tonight. But they've had some mighty good shots. Ready to go back to play now at the dividing line. Lee passes into Hart. In front court to Lee. Lee keeping deep, moving over to his right. Kentucky is hitting .367. Down the right side to pass to Hart. Takes a one-bounce dribble. Hatton stabs and misses, and he passes back out front to Sturkey. Over to Frederick. Back to Sturkey. Down the left to McGriff. Down the left side to Frederick with Cox on him. Goes under, shoots. Cox blocks. Krigler picks it up. Fires to Calvert. Moving back in front court for the Wildcats. Over to Krigler. From 25 feet, a jump shot. Good. And a foul on the play. The goal is good. A foul against number 24, Johnny Cox. Is his first foul of the ball game, but the field goal by Krigler, his 7th of the ball game, gives Kentucky a temporary 63-62 lead. It's Johnny Cox's first foul of the game, sending Henry Hart to the free throw line, and Hart has not missed a free throw. One of 2 Tigers who has that distinction. 12 minutes, 19 seconds to go as Hart hits the free throw to tie it up 63 all. Well, Kentucky has twice been down by 6 points in this half. Bonus shot good by Hart. And Auburn leads 64-63. Calvert in front court to Cox on the left side. A one-bounce dribble and an outside pass to Hatton. Hatton moves to the right, hesitates, backs away, loses the ball, and recovers. Passes to Krigler on the side, back to Hatton, who yells to Krigler, over to Calvert, then fakes, then gives to Krigler. Back out to Calvert. Sets from 30 feet. No good. Up for the rebound. Frederick of Auburn. Fires it out to Lee for a 2-2 break against Beck and Calvert. Lee breaks to the right, pulls up, passes one out to Hart deep. Back over to Lee with Beck on him. He shoots from 30 feet, and it is no good. Tapped up by Samples, no, by Frederick, no good. Out to Sturkey, shot, no good. High in the air, Lee gets the rebound at the free throw line. Auburn out rebounding the catch as Hart drops in a 25-foot jump shot for Auburn, his 6th of the game. It's 66-63. Auburn with a 3-point lead. Calvert in front court. Passes to Hatton. In the pivot to Beck. 3 men are on him. Passes back out to Hatton. Kentucky not running for the basket here in this second half. Hatton from 30 feet. Hits. That's 4 field goals for Hatton, and Kentucky moves back within 1 point. 66-65. We got 11 minutes yet to play with Hart of Auburn back in front court. Down the left side with a pass to Sturkey in the left corner to Frederick with Cox on him. He breaks out of there, goes for the basket, passes to Lee, open shot, no good. McGriff taps, no good. Down, out of bounds. Out of bounds to Kentucky. Calvert to Hatton. Almost back up past the dividing line. To the free throw line. Turns his back, gives to Beck. Beck pivots, breaks, gives to Krigler. Down the middle, shot, no good. Auburn rebounds, and Hatton takes it away from McGriff. A whistle at the baseline, and a jump is called. McGriff at 6'7". will have 4 inches height advantage on Hatton at the Kentucky free throw line. Auburn leading by 1 point. 10 minutes, 36 seconds to play. Tap knocked away by Cox and taken by Calvert. Over to Hatton from 30 feet. He sets, breaks down the right side, passes out to Calvert. Back to Hatton. Hatton looking to Cox on the right side. Covered from the front by Hart. Hatton feeds back in the pivot. He turns, breaks to the baseline, shoots it up. Good. That's 3 field goals by Beck. And Kentucky leads by 1 point, 67-66. Henry Hart of Auburn moving back in front court. Setting it up for the Plainsmen. Only 3 times has Auburn trailed in this half. Here's McGriff at the free throw line. Off the left to Lee. Jump shot, good. And Jimmy Lee of Auburn with his 6th field goal puts the Tigers back in front by 1 point, 68-67. Vernon Hatton of Kentucky back in front court for the Wildcats. High pivot pass to Beck. He goes by, gets a return pass, but McGriff cuts him off. He spins under the basket, hooks a high pass out to Calvert. Down the left to Cox to the corner, breaks, takes a hook shot that's short. No good. Foul on the play by John Krigler of Kentucky. It's Krigler's third foul of the game. Here's another late score. Virginia Tech has defeated George Washington tonight. Virginia Tech 82, George Washington 63. Auburn 68, Kentucky 67, and Frederick goes to the Auburn free throw line for one shot. Frederick has hit 5 out of 6 as Auburn has been death at that free throw line. 9 minutes, 37 seconds to go. As he drops the free throw good, Auburn leads by 2. Kentucky jumped on top 48-46 in the second half, and that's been their longest lead. Twice they've been down by 6 points. Now they trail by 2 as Frederick with a bonus shot. Good. 70-67 in favor of Auburn. Hatton rapidly back in front court for the Wildcats. Fakes to Calvert, gives to him going down the middle. He's immediately fouled by Jimmy Lee of Auburn, committing his second personal. And Calvert goes to the Kentucky free throw line for one shot. 9 minutes and 32 seconds in this ball game here at Lexington. Calvert owns 10 of Kentucky's points. Calvert ready to go now with important free throw. Good. That moves Kentucky within 2 points at 70-68. Bonus shot. Calvert has the right foot just slightly back off the free throw line as a hush falls over the 11,000 fans. Calvert shoots short, tapped up in the air and taken by Auburn as it's knocked by Frederick over to Sturkey. The Plainsmen get possession, holding a 2-point lead. Sturkey in front court as Auburn gained 1 point on that exchange of possession with Kentucky. Calvert comes through the screen to stay on Hart, and he passes out front to Frederick. Auburn has just 1 senior on this ball club, 3 of them sophomores. Here's Lee handling it at the top of the circle, breaks to the right. Krigler goes through the screen. Lee can't shoot, then pumps it up short, and Calvert rebounds. Calvert, charged by Lee, holds on and mows up in front court for the Wildcats. Down the left side to Krigler, gives to Calvert, breaking through, got it! A foul on the play. The goal's good, but Calvert is called for charging. That is personal foul number 4 on Jerry Calvert, which ties the game 70-70, but puts Auburn's Henry Hart at the free throw line. And here's the fella who has not missed. Hart has hit all 10 of his free throws. One shot to Hart with a score 70-70. Each team has scored 24 points in this half. Hart misses. Krigler taps over to Hatton, who kicks off a quick break up in front court. Hart tripped him. And on Henry Hart of Auburn, that's his 4th foul. So now each team has a man on the floor with 4 personals. Calvert of Kentucky, Hart of Auburn, and Hatton is at the line for a free throw. Hatton has hit 3 out of 5, shooting 1. 8 minutes, 50 seconds to play in this thrilling ball game. Now Hatton is ready to go. 2-handed free throw from between the knees. Short. No, it's good. Rolled over the rim. Looked for a moment like it might catch too much of the front. Just glanced the front of the rim. So Kentucky, for the 3rd time in the second half, has a 1-point lead. Hatton on the line for his bonus try now. Sights for the mark. Shoots for it. Misses. Johnny Cox rebounds. Falls away with a shot that's short. Krigler rebounds. Knocked away from him. He picks it up and is fouled as he jumps to shoot. Foul on Auburn's Rex Frederick, and that is his 4th foul. 4 fouls on Frederick and 2 shots to Krigler. Krigler puts the palms of his hands down flat on the floor in order to dry them. He will take 2 free throws. He's hit 3 out of 4. Kentucky with a 1-point lead. Krigler hits. And the Wildcats have their second 2-point lead of the second half. It's 72-70. 8 minutes, 43 seconds yet to play. Krigler stands in for the second shot. Good. Kentucky 73, Auburn 70, as the Cats go into a full court press with a 3-point lead. It's Rex Frederick, breaks to the left, comes into the free throw line for Auburn, hands off to Hart, breaking out. Cox on him, prevents a shot, passes out to Jimmy Lee. He backs away from Calvert, setting up his offense. Kentucky playing aggressively man-to-man now, switching as the screens arise. Here's a pass from McGriff down the left to Frederick. He takes it back out deeper as Auburn sets it up and becomes very deliberate with it, working the Vanderbilt offense, a double pivot. Here's McGriff from the free throw line. No good. Rebounding Ed Beck, way high in the air to get it. Hands over to Jerry Calvert, who mows it up in front court. Now the Wildcats with a 3-point lead and possession. Hatton passes to Beck in the pivot, goes by. Beck hands to Krigler from 20 feet. He got it. That's 8 field goals for John Krigler, and timeout Auburn. Listen to this. Well, there's a tremendous ovation, a lot of it for John Krigler, who has not scored more than 24 points in a single game this season. But here tonight, he's come out with 8 field goals and 5 free throws after 23 points against Alabama. We have just seen John Krigler push through a total of 4 straight points when Kentucky had a 1-point lead at 71-70. Well, it's been thrilling, hasn't it? By golly, it's been one of the fine ball games of the season. And this Auburn is every bit as good as anybody said. 1 minute ago, the score was tied 70-70 when Henry Hart, fouled by Calvert, missed the free throw try. Then it was Hatton that fouled by Hart, got a free throw. Krigler, fouled by Frederick, got 2 free throws and then a field goal, and Kentucky leads 75-70. Back to play now. 7 minutes, 50 seconds to go. Sturkey, the Auburn captain, in front court. Over to Lee. Lee holding it up straight away. Breaks off to the right. Calvert falls away and he shoots good. Jimmy Lee with his 7th field goal of the game. Kentucky leading by 3 points. Cox in front court to Calvert. Beck goes to the pivot. Calvert gives to Hatton. Beck mows off. Hatton mows down the left side. Goes into the 3-second zone to Calvert. Jump shot good. That's 6 field goals for Jerry Calvert. Kentucky 77, Auburn 72. 7 minutes, 20 seconds to go as Hart of Auburn comes back in front court. Mows down the left side. Krigler goes with him. Stabs for the ball, can't get to it. Hart gives in the left corner to Lee. Calvert retreats. Lee breaks out of there from 20 feet. Jump shot bounces off the rim. McGriff gets it, but Beck fouls him. 3rd foul on Ed Beck of Kentucky. No, correct us. McGriff pushing Beck is the way it's called. We went with the motion by Beck, which seemed to indicate to us that he had committed the foul, but it was on McGriff. Auburn for pushing, and Beck goes to the Kentucky free throw line. Kentucky leads 77-72. Kentucky had an 8-point lead in the first half. Auburn has had 2 6-point leads in the second half. Beck shoots good. Kentucky leads by 6 points. So each team has been in front by 6 points in the second half. Another 7 minutes and 4 seconds to go as Beck tries the bonus shot. He's picked up 7 points in this game so far. Beck sights, bonus shot, no good. Cox with a rebound. Takes it out into the left corner. Clears to Calvert. Out to Hatton at the top of the circle. Over to Calvert. Threatens to break through. Lays in the crouch and then backs away. Passes over to Hatton. High one in the pivot to Beck. Both guards go by. Beck gives to Cox. Down the middle. Hook shot, no good. Krigler for the rebound, but a whistle at the baseline, and Beck is called for pushing, his 3rd foul of the game. Kentucky 78, Auburn 72, with 6 minutes, 46 seconds to play. And Auburn free throws coming up. Shooting, Bill McGriff, the 6'7" center, who has not been on the free throw line previously in this game. McGriff has one coming, with Calvert and Hatton wide of the alleys. Sturkey and Hart in safety. McGriff shoots good. That's McGriff's 1st point of the second half. His 9th point of the game. Kentucky's lead now, 5 points. McGriff sights for the bonus shot. Good. Kentucky 78, Auburn 74, as Calvert swings back in front court, passing to Hatton. Beck mows by to the pivot. Hatton started to follow him through, then gives to Calvert. Calvert waves Hatton back out, not wanting to use the screen, just inside the top of the circle. Down the right to Krigler, back to Calvert. Calvert takes it to the left, coming inside, giving to Hatton, who sets, passes to Beck. 15-foot hook, no good. Beck taps the rebound deep to Calvert. Down the left to Hatton from the left corner, shot good. 5 field goals for Vernon Hatton. Kentucky 80, Auburn 74, and now each team has twice had a 6-point lead in this second half. Kentucky currently holding its 2nd one. Up in front court, Sturkey passes, and a foul called. Hart of Auburn fouls out of the ball game with an offensive charging foul. Henry Hart fouling out with 6 minutes and 7 seconds to go. But he goes out with a total of 22 points. Coming in to replace him is Ty Samples. Henry Hart tonight hit 10 straight free throws before he missed his only try, and he had 3 field goals in each half. Kentucky's Jerry Calvert, who's hit 3 out of 4 on the free throw line, is up for one shot. Cats leading by 6 points. Samples trying to bother Calvert, moving up and down to the right, and Calvert gets the free throw just barely. Went in, came out, and hung up on the rim before dropping in. Calvert shooting the bonus try now, as Kentucky has the longest lead in this second half by either team. 81-74. Samples again breaks out of there, trying to bother Calvert and Krigler. Calvert's bonus shot is short this time. Frederick rebounds. Calvert knocks it down, but Frederick recovers and rips one that Krigler knocks out of bounds. 6 minutes to play. Kentucky 81. Auburn 74. Samples passes to Frederick. Takes it out to set it up now. Bounce pass goes. Frederick gets. Top of the circle shot by Lee. Good. Jimmy Lee of Auburn with his 8th field goal. More than anybody else for Auburn. Here's Cox on the left side for Kentucky, passing out to Calvert. Calvert on the side, moves back up, passing to Hatton. Beck goes to the pivot. Hatton sets from 30 feet. Missed it. Cox taps, no good. Outside, Beck's got it. Hook shot, good. 4 field goals for Ed Beck. Kentucky 83, Auburn 76. Lee back in front court for Auburn. High pass lob to Samples on the weak side of the double pivot. Outside, goes to McGriff in the left corner to Frederick. Sets the screen, but Beck and Cox play it crosswise. Frederick takes a jump shot, good. And for Frederick, that's his first field goal in this half, his 5th of the ball game. Cuts the Kentucky lead to 5 points. Cox in the left corner, turns, goes to the free throw line, gives to Beck. Off the left to Calvert. Set shot, good. 7 field goals by Calvert. Kentucky 85, Auburn 78, and Auburn takes timeout number 5. Their last timeout of the ball game with 4 minutes and 54 seconds to play. Into the ball game now, Terry Chandler. He was in the first half but did not score, and now makes his first appearance of the second half. Tennessee upset this club Saturday night, and now tonight the Volunteers have defeated Alabama. Tennessee 97, Alabama 89. The Volunteers getting an 8-point victory over Alabama. Tennessee will be here in the Coliseum Saturday night against Kentucky. Elsewhere in the country tonight, Detroit has defeated Wichita 6 points. Detroit 81, Wichita 75. And Florida State romped over Tampa. Florida State 88, Tampa 57. Michigan beat Indiana tonight by 1 point. And Illinois defeated Ohio State by 7. Shooting percentages unofficially at this point, Kentucky hitting .413, 31 of 75 shots. Auburn has hit 28 of 53. Auburn still hitting at a very hot clip, just under the 60% mark as we go back to play with Chandler getting the pass from Sturkey and quickly returning it. Frederick has come out of the line. Nope, it's not. Frederick's in on the free throw line. Gets the pass just now. Whips one to McGriff. Beck covers up and he hooks good. McGriff with his 5th field goal, but his first one of this half, cuts the Kentucky lead back to 5 points. 85-80 as Calvert in front court bounces to Krigler, back to Calvert. Out to Cox, breaks down the right side and lays it up good. Johnny Cox with his 7th field goal. Kentucky back in front by 7 points, 87-80. Up in front court now, Chandler of Auburn bounces to Frederick on the right side of the double pivot. Quick turn shot is short. Fighting for the rebound, Calvert's got it, but a foul is called. Johnny Cox is called for pushing, trying to tap it out to Calvert, and it is his 2nd foul. 4 minutes and 14 seconds to play. Shooting, Henry Sturkey. And Sturkey has not been on the free throw line previously tonight. He's got 1 shot coming as Auburn trails by 7 points. Now Sturkey sights. He's the Auburn captain. Shoots good. Auburn now has Sturkey, Samples, and McGriff. The 3 of them have not missed a single free throw, as Auburn now holds within 6 points of Kentucky. Sighting, Sturkey the bonus shot good, makes it 87-82. Kentucky's lead cut back to 5 points. Calvert to Cox moving down the left side of the front court. Outside to Hatton. Hatton moves to the right, hands off to Krigler. 1 bounce dribble and out to Calvert. Krigler moves in, Calvert moves away. Passes to Hatton. From 30 feet he sets and moves down the right side cautiously. Hands to Cox, out to Calvert. Breaks to the left on Lee, pulls up, feeds to Krigler, out to Calvert. Calvert over to Cox, back to Calvert. 3 minutes, 48 seconds to go. Hatton feeds back at the pivot. 1 bounce dribble out to Calvert. 25-footer, it's no good. High for it, John Krigler gets a beautiful rebound. Out to Calvert, down the right to Cox. Fakes, breaks, hooks, no good, but he's fouled on the play. Foul is on Bill McGriff of Auburn, his third one. Check us. It's Auburn's Rex Frederick committing the foul and not McGriff. And it is the fifth personal foul on Frederick, who also has a technical foul. Frederick fouls out with 3 minutes and 36 seconds to play. Frederick fouls out with 17 points. Auburn losing two sophomores. Henry Hart with 22 points, and now Rex Frederick with 17 points. And 2 shots are being awarded to Johnny Cox, who has hit 3 out of 4, but has not been on the free throw line in this second half. Cox up for the first shot, good. Kentucky takes a 6-point lead. Now the bonus shot to Kentucky's only sophomore starter. Cox flips. No good. Beck taps back to him. Cox moves left. 10-foot jumper. No good. Rebounding Auburn. Bill McGriff pulling it in. 3.5 minutes to play with Kentucky leading 88-82. Here's Sturkey in front court over to McGriff. Down the right to Samples. Off the right to McGriff. Out deep to Sturkey. Down the right side to McGriff. And now the Auburn bench, instead of yelling slow it up, yelling play ball. Jump shot by Samples. No good. High for the rebound. Ed Beck. Over to John Krigler, who beats his way up in front court. Starts for the basket, hands off to Cox on the right side. Out to Beck, over to Hatton. 3 minutes to play. From 15 feet, Hatton shoots good. Vernon Hatton with his 6th field goal puts Kentucky on top by 8 points for the second time in the game, first time in this half. Twice Kentucky was down by 6 points. Now here is Chandler from 15 feet hitting for Auburn, his first field goal of the ball game. It's 90-84 as Hatton passes to Calvert with 2 minutes 40 seconds to play. Calvert slowing it down now. High pass to Beck at the free throw line. Back to Hatton, wide open. He lays it in, driving. Kentucky playing possum on Auburn, threatening to set on the ball, and then suddenly hitting the pivot. Hatton breaks through for a crip shot. 92-84, Kentucky's third 8-point lead of the game. Breaking out now, Samples to the free throw line. Whips one over to Chandler, who moves down the right side. Chandler off to Sturkey, and the pivot to Samples. Fakes, can't get back away. Gives to McGriff from 20 feet. He missed it. And a whistle as it comes off the backboard. Chandler of Auburn is called for pushing, his first personal foul of the ball game. And into the Auburn lineup for the first time is Bobby Tucker. He played for Auburn at Montgomery last year, but didn't score against Kentucky. He's a 20-year-old junior from New Market, Alabama. Sturkey, the captain, goes out. Tucker, 6 feet, weighs 170. The Cats right now riding an 8-point lead with Krigler going to the free throw line. Krigler owns 21 points in this ball game. Came into the game with an average of 9.8. Moved past Vernon Hatton Saturday night. Shoots and misses. McGriff rebounds for Auburn. Up the way to Samples, breaking in against Krigler, who stops him at the top rim of the circle. Whips under the basket, taking it in and falling away. Hatton blocks the shot, and a whistle, a foul on Hatton, his third one of the ball game, with exactly 2 minutes to go. The new man, Bobby Tucker, makes his appearance at the free throw line, and timeout Kentucky, their third timeout of the ball game. Well, it's the 8th timeout we've had in this game, which nonetheless has moved along rapidly. It takes about an hour and a half to play a college basketball game these days. Perhaps the average would be slightly longer. And in spite of 8 times out, which is within 2 of the maximum, this game has really buzzed along. Auburn trailing Kentucky by 92-84 as the Cats right now own their third 8-point lead of the game. And before we go back to play, let's take 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Standard Oil Sports Network.
WVLK, Lexington, Kentucky, 29 minutes past 9 o'clock.
Back to the Coliseum here in Lexington as Kentucky is taking full advantage of its timeout. The Wildcats lead 34-30 on field goals. Kentucky is now hitting .434 percentage-wise, while Auburn is batting .484 or 50 percentage points better. 30 of 62 for Auburn, 34 of 75 for Kentucky. On the line, Bobby Tucker of Auburn is trying for 2 free throws. Fouled in the act of shooting as Sturkey, the captain, checks back in for the Tigers. Coming out, Terry Chandler. We've got 2 minutes to go. Well, the big important score tonight is in the Big Ten, where Michigan upset Indiana 87-86. Indiana driving for the championship. beaten 1 point tonight by Michigan. Shooting the free throw, Tucker misses, has another one coming, however. Krigler was out to rebound anyway. Tucker on the line for a second shot. 2 seconds ran off the clock. Nobody has said anything about it, however. Shot's good. As Tucker drops it in, Kentucky leads 92-85. And back in front court, Vernon Hatton of the Wildcats. Holding it out deep now. Kentucky may want to try to stall. Hatton high, pass down the right to Johnny Cox. Down in the left corner to Beck, into Calvert, wide open, lays it in, and hits the floor as he's fouled by Sturkey. The goal will count by Jerry Calvert as Sturkey commits his second personal foul of the game. That is twice Kentucky has caught Auburn napping when the Tigers thought that Cats would not be breaking for the basket. First Hatton went through, and now Calvert, as Kentucky leads 94-85. It is Kentucky's longest lead of the ball game, and Calvert's on the free throw line for one shot. He fires it up and in. If we're not mistaken, that's Kentucky's first three-point trip of the night as they take a 10-point lead, their longest of the game. Auburn up in front court now with a minute and a half to play. Tucker down the left side, goes through the hands of Sturkey. Hatton scoops in to get it, and he's fouled immediately from the rear by Terry Lee. That's the third foul on Lee as Auburn resorts to very aggressive play to try to trim into this lead. But they called a timeout, when Kentucky called timeout, rather, just a moment ago with 2 minutes to play. They had a lead of 8 points, and now it's 10 with Hatton at the free throw line. Hatton has hit 4 out of 7. Hatton, after being shut out by Alabama, has bounced back with 18 points as his first free throw goes through and a bonus shot coming up. Check, that was his 19th point that just went through the net, and he didn't score a point against Alabama Saturday. Shooting for point number 20 now. He got it, and Kentucky leads 97-85. This is the most points Kentucky scored since the Loyola game. Up in front court, jump shot by Tucker of Auburn, no good. Beck slaps it down with a blind save. It hit the floor before it got to the stripe, and Auburn will get it. 1 minute, 15 seconds to play. Kentucky on top by 12 points. Out of bounds is Bobby Tucker. Looks for somebody open, calls timeout, and it's a technical foul. Too many times out. That's 6 times out for Auburn, and so it's a technical foul. Man, Coach Adolph Rupp was off the bench quicker than the official score could have counted those 6 times out. So what happened there? Bobby Tucker could not get the ball in play, so he called timeout, not realizing his team had already called times out. So it's a technical foul, and it incidentally is the second technical foul against Auburn tonight. Johnny Cox will shoot it for Kentucky. He's hit 4 out of 6. Shoots it. No good. Man, Cox is mad at himself. That's 7 free throws he's missed in the last 2 games. Kentucky has the ball out of bounds with a minute and 8 seconds to go and a 12-point lead. Calvert in backcourt to Hatton. Right back across the line to Calvert. Swamp hooks the ball to Krigler. Over to Krigler it goes and back to Calvert. Down the left side to Beck, in the corner to Cox. Fans yelling shoot as he hooks a high one across the basket to Hatton, who fakes a shot, then passes to Krigler. 2 men go for him. He pulls it up, passes to Hatton, has it knocked down, and he's immediately fouled by Ty Samples, committing his second foul with 48 seconds to go. Hatton with 20 points goes to the Kentucky free throw line. Well, we feel safe in reading Adolph Rupp's mind tonight. Vernon Hatton has his job back. Here's the shot. Good. The fans do not want Kentucky to freeze. 98-85. Kentucky twice was down by 6 points and had a tremendous battle to get back on top here tonight after being tied up at halftime. Bonus shot by Hatton, good. Kentucky now leads 99-85, their longest lead of the game. Auburn's got it in backcourt, and Kentucky's picking up. Now Tucker breaks away, drives down the right side, goes to the corner, looks for somebody open, gives to McGriff, who shoots, no good. Johnny Cox gets the rebound, rolls out of there with it, and has it taken away from him by Tucker of Auburn, who stole the ball, breaks in against Beck, takes a quick jump shot, no good. Johnny Cox again rebounds, has it taken away from him again. But this time a foul is called against Auburn with 27 seconds to go. Tucker committing the personal foul is first. 27 seconds to go, and Johnny Cox, who's taken the last 2 rebounds, has the honor of trying to hit the century mark, which has been accomplished 3 times this year, but in a different city every time. Lexington, New Orleans, and Chicago. Most points for the season in Chicago. Second, 114 here. Good! There is the century mark, 100 points. And a 15-point advantage. A bonus shot to Cox. Good. 101-85. Breaking out now, Auburn goes to the attack with Sturkey in front court. Passing down the right side to McGriff. Down on the baseline. Quick shot for Samples. Calvert rebounds. Comes out of there with it with 15 seconds to go. High pass to Hatton. Lays it in. 8 field goals for Hatton, and the Cats lead 103-85. 7 seconds to go. Sturkey moving up in front court now. Breaks to the left. Hatton stops him. 2 seconds to go. Gives over to Tucker, and the ball game's over. What a tremendous comeback we've seen here tonight by a Kentucky team that has just won the 17th Southeastern Conference Championship. And Ed Beck marches the length of the floor to shake hands with Joel Eves. Beck, of course, from Georgia, down in the South, saying something to Joel Eves. Ed Beck will shower, dress, and with the parents of Johnny Brewer, head to the airport in Louisville. From Stanford Field later tonight, he'll take a flight to Macon, Georgia, to return to the bedside of his critically ill wife. Well, the final score, 103-85. Kentucky winning its 21st game of the season and one of the finest games of the season.